guys, what's up? My name's Elisha if you're new here. In today's video, I wanted to test out a new collection from ColourPop, and I'm talking about the On the List collection. This collection is exclusive to Ulta. And basically in today's video, I want to run through the pricing of everything. I want to give you swatches of everything. And then with the eyeshadow palette, I want to do multiple looks with this. I probably am going to do 3 to 5 looks. So that is kind of the plan for today's video. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, first off, this collection came with one eyeshadow palette, and then it came with some color sticks and cream luxe lipsticks. There are 4 color sticks in this collection, and there are 6 of the cream luxe lipsticks. So the pricing on this is obviously pretty good. I mean, it's ColourPop. You can use discount codes, you can use coupons. The palette retails for $18, and then the color sticks retail for $7, and the cream luxe lipsticks retail for $9. So altogether, what I picked up was $34. In the cream luxe lipstick, I got the shade The Palace, and in the lipstick, I got the shade Layover, just for reference. First off, let's talk about the packaging. I love the packaging of this. I always think ColourPop kills it with the packaging. It sucks me in every time, especially when they do like the Disney collections and things like that. I always get sucked in. But I think that this is just really pretty and girly and simple, and I love it. You open it up, on the inside you've got little flowers. And then, of course, this is what the palette looks like, exactly like the packaging. Now, this palette in particular does not have a mirror. That's probably why it's at the $18 price point instead of like $22 or a little bit more. But these are the shades that you're getting in this palette. I think they are absolutely beautiful. You've got like a wonderful like duochrome type of shade here. So let's go ahead and do some swatches. All right, I'm going to go ahead and swatch the top row. So we have a metallic icy champagne, a soft yellow peach with gold pinpoints, and you can see that glitter reflecting in that shade. Then you've got a matte peachy coral and a matte khaki green. Now, I will say this color did not swatch the best, but I mean, you guys know that that doesn't mean anything. So we'll see how this actually applies on the eyes. All right, and then in the middle row, we've got these shades here. We have a matte, soft, neutral pink. Then on this shade, you've got a metallic peachy pink. Then you have a metallic purple with green and blue duochrome. And then lastly, you've got a matte true warm brown. All right, and then the last row. That kind of looks like Christmas. So you have a metallic ruby red, a deep warm toned brown, a metallic emerald green, and then a matte olive green. So again, this is the eyeshadow palette here. I think you've got some really pretty like spring type of shades, and then I think you've got like a very pretty like grungy type of fall palette in here as well. So I think this came out at like the perfect time. So I'm going to show you guys a bunch of different looks with this palette because this is like my colors. Then there is a color stick. I have honestly never used a color stick. I know you can use it as like a liner. You can smoke it out. You can use it as a base. This is what the actual stick looks like here. And again, the shade that I got is the Palace, and it is like a maroon type of a color. Kind of like my dress today, honestly. The lipstick that I got is Layover, which is a nude, of course. Now, as I mentioned, the lipsticks had 6 different shades. There are 3 different nudes, and then there are like 3 different like red variation shades. So this is what the packaging looks like. I love this packaging so much. I love the pink with the flowers, so pretty and girly. And of course, I picked up a nude. I feel like the one that I picked up has got more of like a pinky mauve-y type of an undertone. All right, so that was the swatches of everything. Now I'm going to go ahead and get into the eye looks. And I think what I want to do, there are a lot of looks that you could do with this palette using this as a base. I think the only one I'm going to do that on is like the last one of this video. And I think I'm planning on doing 5. It depends how quickly I can get them done. But yeah, I think I'll only use this in like the last look. All right, so I'm going to bring you guys in a little bit closer so you can really see what we're doing. All right, guys, so you know if you've watched any of my prior videos, I love a good grungy look. So that is what we're going to go off with first. And I want to start with this shade right here in the crease, which is Boundaries. All right, and I have been loving this brush from Dominique Cosmetics. I don't normally give brushes a shout out, but this one is so freaking good. You can use it for like everything. This is the DSO3, the blend and shade. I kind of feel like picking up another one of these just to have on backup because it's so good. All right, I wish this palette had a mirror, I will say that. I'm just gonna kind of try to use my camera as a mirror. Actually, I have one in front of me too. I'll try to use that. Okay. So it has been a while since I filmed. The kids are back in school now, and so I don't know, just been trying to adjust back to that. There was some movement at work with people moving and like moving offices, moving desks, like things like that. So I just feel like, I don't know, had a good bit going on. Ooh, this shade is so nice. You literally could just blend this all over your lid into the crease and be done. This is such a beautiful shade. I think I'm gonna scoot the camera back just a little bit. But anyway, my husband also had surgery. If you guys have been following our journey for the past few months, he's been really, really sick. So we finally got him surgery, and hopefully, fingers crossed, everything is good. Next up, I think I want to go into this like pukey type of a green shade. This is Name, and this is that like matte khaki type of a green. And I'll say, I really don't think you can beat ColourPop, honestly, as far as like the quality, the packaging, the blendability, the pigmentation of their eyeshadows. I just think they are killing it, honestly. The only thing I'll say is that I do think they come out with things too quickly. I think if they like didn't come out with so many collections so quickly, that people would be more interested in their collections when they come out. Like some of their collections I don't even think about picking up because I'm just like, nope. Just compared to, you know, what all they are releasing, it's just like not even on my radar. So I don't know, I mean, I guess they're trying to make something for everyone, but it is just a lot if you pay attention to how much they release. That is a really pretty green shade as well. Wow. All right, now I'm going to take a more precise little crease brush, and I'm going to go into this darker matte green shade down here, and that is the Ropes. All right, and with this, I'm just going to kind of press this on the outer edge. And I like to kind of just blend the two shades together like that, literally just kind of pressing back and forth, focusing it first where I want the most pigment, and then I'll kind of move out. But that's kind of the technique I use, and it's kind of foolproof. You know, when you're half asleep in the morning trying to get ready, it's a pretty easy method. And then I'm just gonna kind of press this right into the crease. All around my lid when there's barely anything left on my brush. So again, starting over here on the outer edge and then moving up right into that crease, just pressing. That's it, just pressing. Okay, now I'm gonna go back into that brush that we used the shade Boundaries with. I'm gonna like dip in here just a smidge, and I'm going to just kind of blend over these two shades right where the edges meet, just to kind of blend everything together. And I'm going to go in with a little pencil brush, and I'm going to go into the shade Boundaries here. And you could probably have guessed, I'm going to put this on my lower lash line. I will say this is kind of a light coral type of a shade. You really have to build this up, but it is a beautiful shade once you get it there. All right, so I'm bringing this color down pretty low because I want it to peek through the green that I'm going to add on top of this. Then again, using a different little pencil brush, I'm going to go back into the green shade here, which is the Ropes, and tap that off. And I'm just going to apply this a little bit closer and just on this outer corner over here. And I think that really helps by concentrating that deepness just on the outer edge over there. I think it helps to kind of lift the eye. The only other thing that I would do is maybe take a little bit of this. You could leave it here, and honestly, I like it here. I honestly might not even like it with this, but I was gonna say you could pop a little bit of that into the inner corner. And that shade is very intense. I'm just gonna kind of blend that shade out and hope we can diffuse it a little bit. Okay. That is it for that eye there. All right, next up, I'm gonna go for kind of a more smoky type of a look using this shade right here because I think this is a beautiful everyday shade. First off, I'm gonna start with +1 in the crease. All right, guys, and as you can tell, I'm really not being careful at all with this. I'm just throwing it on all over. And this one has more of that pink undertone, this +1 shade, and then we're going to put that peachy pink shimmer onto the top of the lid, and those two shades just go together so nicely. Now with that metallic shade, this is VIP. So this is that metallic peachy pink. I'm going to put this all over the lid using my finger. And you'll see I left a little piece with no color there. We'll get back to that. So I'm going to put this all over like the center of my lid pretty much. So basically I'm just going to leave this very inner corner bare and then over here on this outer edge. Then I'm going to take like a little tiny precise type of a blending brush, and I'm going to go back into this +1 shade, the crease shade that we used. And again, I'm just going to throw that all into the crease just to kind of deepen it back up in case we got any of that metallic shade on there. And then I'm going to go into that precise little blending brush again, and I'm going to go into Highest Rated, which is the shade over here. This is described as a matte, true warm brown. And basically, I'm just going to put this on the outer edge. So basically what I found out with this darkest brown shade in this palette is that it is just not that pigmented at all. You really have to take the time to build this shade up, which is what you can see me doing here. But I am just deepening up that whole outer edge of the eye just to make it look smoky and a little bit more of a sultry type of a look. You can shape it out, wing it out as much or as little as you want. And then again, to do the halo eye, I'm doing the inner corner as well in the same manner, and then just kind of connecting up at the top in between on the crease. One of my faves. So now that I have that all shaped out, I'm going to kind of go back into this +1 shade and just lightly around these edges. I want the shade to show through just to make it look really nice and blended. So really gently, what I'm doing is on the edge of that darker brown, I am just blending the shade right over it and kind of above it. And it'll just make it look like a nice gradient effect without you having to sit there and blend forever. And the same thing on the lower part. And you can make that outer corner obviously as dramatic or not. I kind of went a little dramatic there. All right, now I'm going to go back in with that VIP shade, and I'm just going to enhance the center of our lid. Just make it a little bit brighter. I feel like we lost a little bit of that brightness. And kind of with a clean finger, I'm just tapping over it either way to kind of diffuse it into the darker shade, if that makes sense. Next up, I'm going to go into a little pencil brush, and I'm going to go into this +1 shade. I'm going to throw this all on the lower lash line. And then I'm going to take highest rated, this warm brown shade, and I'm also going to kind of put this all under the lower lash line as well. Alright guys, you would obviously add mascara. I don't have mascara on with this, so it doesn't look as good as it would obviously if I had mascara. But these are the 2 looks so far. I'm going to wipe these off and then we'll start all over. All right guys, I'm back. We're starting off with a blank slate, and now we're going to go into the next 2 looks. So the next one I want to do is going to be a look with this metallic green shade here. I think I'm going to start off with this shade right here, which is actually this one, Take 2. I'm going to take a big fluffy brush and go into this shade, and I'm going to tap this off. That should get any of that glitter pretty much off of my brush. And I just want to sweep this all over the crease. I kind of want to use this shade more as like a base shade for my actual crease shade, if that makes sense. That this will just kind of be the background that will blend into. This is almost my skin color, but just a little bit darker. All right, next up, I'm gonna go into this shade again here, which is Name. And I'm gonna put this all in the direct crease of my eyelid. And by direct crease, I mean right where the actual eyeball ends, right in the socket. All right, guys, so I started back working out this week, and holy shit, I figured out how out of shape I was. I want to start kickboxing class, but I want to be like more in shape before I join a gym and like die in the warm-up. So that's the plan anyway. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully I'm disciplined enough to actually stick with it. But there we go. I love that shade. And I love how those two shades blend together. I think this shade right here, if you use this like I did just there all over the crease area, dust it off beforehand, I think it just makes the most beautiful blending shade for your crease shade if you're near my skin tone. All right, next up, I'm going to take a flat brush and I'm going to go into this shade right here, which is the Ropes, and I'm going to put that all over my lid. This shade is kind of crumbly, like if you really go into it heavy, but man, I love all the greens that are in this palette. Again, if you guys are familiar with my channel, you know, like greens and purples are my thing as far as colors are concerned, and these are just, this palette's right up my alley. It's got everything that I love. Screams fall, which is my favorite season. They've already started with the pumpkin spice stuff. I saw the pumpkin spice creamer out yesterday when I was at the grocery store, and I did pick it up. All right, so just taking the time to build that green up all over the lid. You know what I like is that's like pumpkin flavored is a good pumpkin roll. Although I'm trying to diet again. I don't know, we'll see how it works out. I'm doing the keto diet. The last time I did it, I was very successful. Now I'm going to go into this shade right here, which is Scheme, that metallic emerald green. Such a yummy shade, and I'm going to put this on top of that darker base. You could also, oh my god, you could also put this over like a black liner if you were to kind of blend and smudge that out all over your lid. A liquid base would always be better. A black base would even be really nice, but this darker green is working well under here as well, don't get me wrong. All right, guys, so just taking the time to build up that green all over the lid. I love putting metallics over darker shades. It really makes them pop. All right, and then what I think I'm going to do is kind of go back into this dark green shade, kind of pat this right around that edge, and then into the crease again. And then kind of, again, go in with this shade right here. Knock that off, and then blend all over the edge. All right, and then with this darker green shade here, I'm just gonna go all over the lower lash line with that dark green. All right, and right in the center, I'm gonna take this green shade here. And kind of put this right there. Now, I definitely did have some fallout with this. I probably should have used like a smudger type brush. All right, and then going in with this super bright shade, I'm gonna pop that right on the inner corner. Then I'm going to wipe my brush off, and I'm going to kind of blend this around. And then I'm going to go back in, build that shade up a little bit more. Again, wipe it off and kind of blend it around. Definitely see the fallout that happened there. But you can just dust it away and it's all better. All right, next up on the other side of the eye, I'm going to go back into this shade here, which is +1. That's that more pinky type of a nude shade. And I'm going to put that all throughout the crease over here with a big fluffy blending brush. I think this palette is very user-friendly. Like, looking at it, I can see multiple different looks that I want to do. That's why I'm doing this video the way that I am. I just want you guys to have lots of ideas, because I think this one is just such, again, user-friendly palette. Next up, I'm going to go into this highest rated shade here, which is the True Warm Brown. And with that, I'm going to kind of pack this all over the outer corner of the eye, like onto the lid. Alright guys, and then again, I just had to take the time to really build up these darker brown shades in this palette. It would have really saved a lot of time and effort had these been a little bit more pigmented. That so far has been the only downside that I've seen really with this palette. Those shades just take a little bit of building up. All right, then in that same kind of general area, I'm going to use this shade right here, which is Party Light. And I'm going to put that in the same areas, just like a little bit more tightly. So I'm not going to bring it all the way in. I'm just going to kind of stick more to the outer edges when I'm using this darker shade here. I will say these shades look darker in the pan than they do on your eyes. Like, it's honestly not really that pigmented. So I think that makes it even more beginner friendly, just because, you know, it's harder to mess up when you're not dealing with something that's super, super pigmented. I'm going to take this shade right here, which is Valet. And I'm going to put this shade all over the lid. I'm going to leave this like inner corner over here blank. Okay. And then I'm going to go in with this like coppery, like peachy pink type of a shade. And where that darker brown and cranberry shade come together, I'm going to kind of tap this shade over those. This will also give it a little bit more dimension. All right, and then I'm going to kind of go back over this cranberry shade in the inner corner over here. I'm going to go back into that big fluffy blending brush. I'm going to go back into that original crease shade that we used on this eye. And again, right where that darker brown ends, I'm going to blend this on top. And what you're going to see that do is just soften that shade up. This is such a good trick, and it always makes everything look so perfected and so blended out, and it takes like no time to do. All right, and then I'm gonna go back into this shade here, and I'm gonna kind of run this all on the inner corner of that eye, just like that. Really taking my time to like blend it up. And then I'm going to go into the shade over here, run that all along the lower lash line. And then I'm going to go in with this darkest shade, which is Party Like. And with this shade, I'm just going to focus it on like that outer third. All right, and then I'm going to go back into Hillside, and I'm going to pop that right on the inner corner and on the lower inner third. All right, I think that this could use a little bit of darkness, and so I'm going to go into that color stick, and I'm going to smudge this all on the upper lash line. All right, so I'm just going to take this color stick, line that all across my upper lash line, and it went on super easy, very user-friendly, even for someone that doesn't use liner typically. And then I'm bringing that up into that outer corner, and I'm just going to take a little smudger brush and kind of blend that out. All right, I like that much better. And I think both of these looks are so freaking pretty. I love the green, honestly, really, really do. I wonder if you took this Hillside shade, I wonder what that would look like as a spotlight on this one. It looks so pretty. All right, so I just put it on the center, and then with a clean finger, I'm just kind of tapping it around. So pretty. I could even see like doing this all over. So pretty. All right, guys, so I'm going to clean these off, and then we're going to get into the final eyeshadow look. All right, guys, so you can probably guess what the final eyeshadow look is going to be using, and that is the only shade that we haven't used so far in this palette, which is this like blue duochrome purple type of a shade. So to start, I am going to go ahead and take this shade here, which is Take Two, and again, using a big fluffy brush, I'm going to tap this shade off, and I'm going to put this all throughout the crease. That Take Two shade is actually one of my favorites in the palette. If you're my skin tone or around there, perfect crease shade. I kind of go in between these two shades here, and I want to put that like more directly into the crease, a little bit lower than that other shade. Right now, just going only into this shade here. I'm gonna kind of focus this kind of on the outer corner and even lower into the crease. All using the same brush. Now I'm going to go back into our color stick here, and I really just kind of want to apply this all over the lid, and then I'm going to blend it out. So I'm just going to kind of draw it on, and then I'm going to blend this out with my finger. Alright, I'm going to apply a little bit more.
So I will say, putting this all over the lid, there was a little bit of tugging, a little bit of resistance when I was trying to apply this. Definitely was not the smoothest as far as bases go.
Now I'm going to go in with my finger again, and I'm going to go into Reality. And I'm going to put this, oh my gosh, right on top of that base that we just put down of the color stick. Look at that duochrome dream. Oh yeah. Alright, now going back in with a little tiny crease brush. I'm going to go back into this shade here, which is Party Like, which is the darkest shade in this palette. And I'm just going to kind of focus this just on this outer corner over here. All right, going back into that original crease brush we used. I'm going to go back into that shade, tap it off, and I'm going to apply this all along the edges just to blend that nicely. On the lower lash line, I think I'm honestly going to use this shade right here, which is Boundaries, and put this all on the lower lash line just because that's like a nice warm color. I just think it'll mix things up a bit.
And again, with this coral shade, it's one that you kind of have to build up, but it's so pretty once you do get it there.
Then I'm going to take another pencil brush and I'm going to go back into this shade right here, which is Party Like. And I'm going to apply this just on this outer third area. All right, and then for the inner corner, you guessed it, I'm going to go into Hillside. Pop that right on the inner corner, kind of again blending this up. Really blending and brightening this inner area here. Going back in, I'm going to put that right on the inner lower rim. Okay. And again, I'm just blending over everything again. I just want everything nice and blended. All right, that is going to be it for the final look. I'm going to go ahead, finish up the other eye, and then we'll be back for the rest of the products in this collection. Alright guys, so this is the eye look. I freaking love it. I love that duochrome shade, especially like on top of that base. I think it is top notch. You could, of course, put it on this shade here, but I just feel like there's really no like dark shades in this palette. I wish that these would have been a little bit more pigmented. I think that would have made this palette like probably at least 2 or 3 times better. Having said that, I do like all the looks that I came out with. We'll get a little bit more into that in a little bit, but I did apply this Rated R Beauty Mascara. I have been loving this. I'll have it linked down below in case you're interested. But moving on, we're going to go ahead and get started with the lips. Now, I'm going to go ahead and line my lips. This is the Makeup Forever Artist Color Pencil in Wherever Walnut. I've been loving this pencil. I got it in a Sephora Favorites. I'll have that video linked down below. Definitely something to check out though if you want to try a lot of stuff at an affordable rate. Or if you just want to get a bunch of high-end products at an affordable rate. I love this shade though. I think it is such a like everyday shade. I have had this out on my desk, and this has been like the only lip liner I've been using since I tried it. All right, and now we're gonna go in with the lipstick from this collection. Again, this is in the shade Layover. There's no like design on this bullet or anything. I honestly don't even know what's up with that. I think it's just a little bit of extra product, but there's no like embossment or anything like that in the lipstick.
If you haven't tried this formula, it is so smooth and creamy. It feels so good on the lips.
All right, so this is the shade here. I do like it. I get definitely like 90s vibes with this lipstick. I think I would like it better with like a grungy type of a look as opposed to this one. This look, I kind of just want something like light, shiny pink, honestly. But this is the look, guys. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I really like the lipstick. I love these Cream Luxe lipstick formulas. I think it is such a good one. This is the first time that I had tried the color stick. I'll say using it all over the lid, there was like some tugging. As far as using this as a liner and kind of smudging it out, that is how I prefer to use this. I think it works really good like that. It's nice and pigmented, super easy to use. Just like putting it all over the lid, there was a little bit of tugging. So that's all I'll say about that. But $7, that's a really good price, especially if you can find these in colors that you like. And I love this color. I think I could get a lot of use out of that color. All right, the palette. This is probably the only video I've done thus far where I've done that many eye looks, just because this color story in general called to me. Like I said, this is like my kind of colors. Love the duochrome that we have on the lid. Love all of these like warm, grungy, fall type of colors. Absolutely love that. I love the addition of the emerald green as well as this cranberry shade here. This brightening shade, you can apply it really intensely, or you can apply it and then blend it out, and it just looks kind of like ethereal. This would be a really pretty like topper type of a shade too, how you saw on top of that green. I think really you could put that color pretty much on top of anything except for these like lighter shades, and it would just kind of alter the color of whatever you're putting it on top of. But yeah, this is got a bit of fallout. You can kind of see the use on this palette just from me doing those 5 different looks with it. So that kind of gives you a gauge of like the fallout that's going on with this palette. And then the only other thing I'll say is that, like I said, these 2 deeper shades really were not that dark. I would have preferred to have something a little bit deeper, a little bit more pigmented. I think these shades are kind of flops, but you can make them work in this palette. Everything else in this palette I think is top notch. I really love it, enjoyed it. But yeah, that is kind of my thoughts on this palette. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful for you if you were thinking about checking any of these items out. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in my next one. Bye guys.